during the Super Teams finals.
This ESPN program is being brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud for you.
And let me again define for you why the world champion New York Yankees are not involved. According to Trans World International, the organizers of the competition, many of the Yankee players, by virtue of their guaranteed player contracts, required to obtain the consent of Yankee management in order to participate in competitions such as the Super Teams. In this case, the Yankee players unable to obtain such consent based on a concern about injury, although the Yankee management agreed chances of this were minimal. And so the Kansas City Royals are here in the finals against the Dallas Cowboys. We have a total of 7 events. You win 4 of the events, and you have won the contest. The money breaks down this way: $45,000 bonus money to the winner, $25,000 to the loser. The winner of each event gets $8,000. The loser, nothing. Here in Hawaii, as we settle in for the final round in the Super Teams competition of 1978. The day dawned bright and clear. That means it is a warm day, and our beginning event is one that requires a good deal of cardiovascular demand, indeed, on the body. In this kind of warm weather, the running relay, the tandem bicycle racing, and the obstacle course, those 3 events in particular can wear a man down. But right now, let's talk about the running relay, which will be the opening event in this final round of competition. And let me introduce you to my old buddy from the NBA days, the great one from the Boston Celtics, Bill Russell, who knows absolutely nothing about running relay.
Right. I try to stay away from it. Anything that, see, these guys don't have a problem with this relay because it's going, each guy's running a different distance, and they have to remember that, and then you have to pass the baton, and all that thinking and moving at the same time, that's going to create problems.
We had a shower, too, and the track, being of clay and oil, gets to be a little sticky.
Oh, that would be a good excuse for the guys that, when they get behind, they can fall out and say, oh, I slipped.
You better get a hat, because it's warm here in Hawaii now, and you're closer to it than most people.
Thanks, Keith. I needed that.
Let's talk about the long and short of this running relay, the beginning of it. For the Dallas Cowboys, defensive lineman Harvey Martin, and for the Kansas City Royals, Freddie Patek, all of 5'4", but we've seen him perform before. So here we go now. I remember in the preliminary competition, you started without blocks and you slipped.
Yeah, I did. I'm going to try some blocks this time because my leg's a little bit sore now, and after listening to Bill talk, I think I better not chew gum and run and save.
Freddie, I know that you sort of banged up your leg a little bit in the obstacle course in the preliminary competition. Is it all right?
Well, it's fine. I'm just going to have to try to figure out something to stable with this guy. I saw him run the other day, and this big man can really run, so it's going to be interesting to see. I hope he just doesn't run over me if he gets in front of me.
Now, don't forget this, though. There is a motivational factor involved here. Not only the victor of it, but the winner gets $8,000 and the loser, zip.
Big factor. That's worth running for.
Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now let's turn over to O.J. to talk with one of those big guys out of that Dallas line that offers some crashing speed.
You're looking at a road runner. The man who wears it is 6'4", 245-pound defensive tackle for the Dallas Cowboys, Randy White. You think it's easy being a halfback in the NFL, huh? Randy, tell me about the road runner.
Well, that's something I did when I first went to college. It doesn't signify anything of being real fast. As a matter of fact, it's going backwards.
You know, you start with Harvey Martin, you go to Randy White, first 2 legs on this relay team. You're going to tell me there's not a faster man on the Dallas Cowboys roster?
Well, you know, Harvey and I rely a lot on our speed because we're not that big. You know, when you go against a lot of them big guys in the NFL, you got to have something to offset their size, so we beat them a lot of times with quickness.
Harvey Martin, 245, Randy White, 245. First 2 legs of the Dallas Cowboys relay, and I bet they be leading when they pass off the baton.
All right, Jay, let's set the distances for you now. The first 2 runners will go 110. The second 2 runners, 110 yards. Then you have 3 legs of 220 yards, and the final leg, 440. Freddie Patek on the left and Harvey Martin leading off. For Kansas City, Frank White. For Dallas, it'll be Randy White at 110 yards. Then we go to that first leg at 220 yards, where third baseman George Brett runs for the Royals and Charlie Waters for the Dallas Cowboys. The second 220-yard leg will feature outfielder Tom Poquette, who's got a sore leg, and it's been sore for the better part of a week here. Billy Joe Dupre for Dallas, and the 223rd leg will be Amos Otis for Kansas City and Drew Pearson for Dallas. Then down to the quarter-mile finale, it'll be Hal McRae, the designated hitter for the Royals, and safety Cliff Harris for the Cowboys. Now, everything about this is not all song and dance, let me tell you. Watch here as Randy White comes in to hand off to Charlie Waters in the preliminary competition against the Denver Broncos. Lost a little hide sliding along the cinder track. And Steve Foley, running for Denver, when Denver apparently had the race in hand and could have won it, dropped the baton. And Charlie Waters went flying on by, and Dallas won it rather easily. Now, you can see an unusual alignment of the starting blocks for that big defensive lineman for Dallas, Harvey Martin. Slipped the last time, as we noted in talking to him, but he'll put 1 foot on it just to get some traction coming off the block. Freddie Patek using a block, also 1 foot from a semi-stand-up position. And here's the first 110-yard leg, and it is Martin running very well inside. Patek closing on him. The Kansas City shortstop, however, cannot close down on the big lineman from Dallas, and Harvey Martin will give the Dallas Cowboys an early lead. It is Randy White moving it for Dallas, and Frank White for Kansas City, and Frank White trying to close down on Randy White, and O.J., he's not able to do it. The baton exchange is successful so far. It is Charlie Waters leading for the Cowboys and George Brett for Kansas City. They're now running at 220 yards. This is the third leg of the relay, goes 220.
I tell you something, you see why the Dallas Cowboys is always in the top in defense. And when you have speed like that on the defensive line, here's a guy that plays in that defensive secondary, Charlie Waters, and they've given him a real nice lead, and they're going to the strongest part of their relay team.
The handoff now goes from Charlie Waters to Billy Joe Dupree, the tight end. The second leg of 220, or the fourth leg of the running relay race, and it is Tom Poquette running for the Kansas City Royals, and it is Dupree opening up a bigger Dallas lead.
That Billy Joe is just taking it easy. He knows he has Drew Pearson and Cliff Harris running that ankle leg quarter, who ran it in college. He ran a quarter in college. So I would think that Dallas Cowboys right now are just thinking one thing: don't drop the baton.
Drew Pearson now on his way for the Dallas Cowboys. Amos Otis for the Kansas City Royals. This is the last of the 220-yard legs in the running relay. Waiting at the finish line for the 440 and the final leg. It is Cliff Harris for Dallas, and Drew Pearson is going to give that baton over to Harris, and Harris will inherit a huge lead of almost 2/3 of a straightaway. Amos Otis puffing along will give it now to Hal McRae, and Hal McRae faces an almost impossible task of running down Cliff Harris, who, as O.J. said, ran the quarter when he was in school at Ouachita Baptist.
I'll tell you something about Cliff Harris. You know, not only is he a great athlete, as you can see, he is a hitter. You know, they call Jack Tatum Dreamer Tatum because of the knack of knocking guys out at Oakland. Well, let me tell you about Cliff Harris. If Jack is a dreamer, well, he's a nightmare for us halfbacks and wide receivers running those slant patterns. I've seen him knock guys out. He probably knocked more guys out than any other defensive back in the league.
He looks like he's out for a Sunday morning jog, and Hal McRae, the designated hitter for Kansas City, is beginning to close down on him, but obviously Cliff is going to be fresh. When he feels McRae putting the pressure on him, he'll have plenty left as they come down off the final turn. In the preliminaries, Dallas ran the relay at 2:37.4, the Royals 2:41.1. McRae now has just begun to tie up some, even though he has closed considerably on Cliff Harris. Harris has an easy jog, and the Dallas Cowboys win the opening event of the final round of the Super Teams competition and take a 1-0 lead. Winning time for the Dallas Cowboys, 2 minutes 41.24 seconds. For Kansas City, 2:45.34. Right now, let's go to Bill Russell and a winded Hal McRae.
Hal, one of the things that everybody likes about the Kansas City Royals, they never give up. And you got in the race and you were just completely out of it, but you never gave up. Is that the way it is with the Royals?
Well, that's kind of close with Hal. We don't have the best personnel, but I think we can beat anyone. And our backs always seem to be against the wall. And that's what we're accustomed to, so we just do the best we can.
So the Cowboys have $8,000 in their pockets. Kansas City nothing so far. Tandem bike race next.